Hi, this movie is about how to cite sources for your Life in the Digital Age essay. And if you have questions after you watch the video or you still don't understand anything, please make sure that you contact me. I'll be glad to help you with this. In this presentation, I cover 5 different types of things that you have to cite. And so if I don't cover something that you're working with, feel free to contact me about that and have me help you. Or again, the Writing Center is a good place to go, and so are the reference librarians in the library. Anyway, let's get started on this first one. The slide that you're looking at here is for a broadcast television or radio program. And that's what we would classify Digital Nation. And since so many of you are using Digital Nation in your essay, I thought I would begin with that. You see the citation here is fairly straightforward. You see Digital Nation in quote marks. The title of the show, Frontline, follows. Notice that that should be italicized, just like the X-Files is above it. PBS is the network that it's on, the broadcast it's on, and then the call letters for the station are WGBH, and that's in Boston. And the event was aired on the 10th of February, 2010. That will get you all the information. If you need to do some sort of in-text citation with this, you of course probably most of the time we're just going to tell people, such as in the documentary Digital Nation, and you're going to embed that in your text. But if for some reason you're citing it and you don't want to do that, and instead you want to come up with a parenthetical, then the parenthetical is going to be Digital Nation. All right, hope that clears that up, and we'll move on now. For those of you that are using the Bauerlein article, this article is an introduction to a book. So it's cited in a somewhat different fashion, and you can kind of see the way that that works here. You also can see that this is a long citation. In part, it's a long citation because the title of the book, The Digital Divide, Arguments for and Against Facebook, Google, and Texting in the Age of Social Networking, is a long title. So that's part of what's going to take up a lot of the space. You also can see that in here we're talking about something that's edited by someone instead of written by someone. So that makes a difference as well in terms of that. So, you want to keep those things in mind. The page numbers are also a little unusual here because of that being an introduction. So those are all the factors that play a role in this particular slide. One last thing that I want to point out is that if you're using, for the in-text citation, you're going to focus on the author's name, right? So you would be using Bauerlein, that's what you're going to use in text, or you're going to front the information just like we always do, where you give the name of the writer and it's embedded somehow into your text. And when that happens, you don't need to put Bauerlein in the parenthetical. But do remember for the parenthesis that you're going to need page numbers because this article is numbered. So in text is going to be a little interesting when you think about these two things. Just keep that in mind, and again, if you've got problems with that, let me know. I know a number of you are using the TED Talks. You're using either the Turkle or the Pariser, or maybe both of them in your essay. So you need to know how to cite them. Fortunately, this is a pretty straightforward, easy way to do this citation. We really treat this as if it was a lecture. It just happens to be captured on video and you watched it on the web, but still it's treated as a lecture. So this one is fairly straightforward. Speaker's name, the name of the talk, you may have to go back and find that out. TED, the idea that it's going to be about, this is the place where the lecture took place. The date of the talk, again, you're going to have to check on that, and the fact that it was a lecture. Our next two slides deal with online databases, and I also know that this is something that you're having to deal with. This first one is an article from an online database. The one that follows is a newspaper. So depending on where you're working from, maybe you have both an article and a newspaper, or maybe you just have articles or just have newspapers. So whichever is appropriate to you should pay attention to. An article from an online database, the important things for you to keep in mind, well, you notice easily how the name goes, and there's the writer's name and the the title of the article is in quote marks, but then you'll notice that there's periodical information, and this is something that you want to make sure and capture. The first part, in the italicized historical journal, for example, that's the name of the periodical. What follows is the volume and issue number, followed by the date, and then the page number. Everything that you're looking at in Academic Search Premier, for example, is always going to have appeared in print first, so there's almost always going to be a page number with it. And then you notice that what follows that is the name of the database and then the last date of access. So this is the way that you work through that periodical. And then our last slide here is this newspaper article from a database. And you see there's just subtle differences. Most of it's the same, particularly in the beginning. Author's name, the name of the article, and then you see here we have the name of the newspaper, the Los Angeles Times in this case, as opposed to the journal article. And while you have volume and issue for journal, you don't have that for newspaper. Instead, you have dates, and you have the section number and the page number that follows that. So that newspaper info is a little bit different, and you're going to need to pay attention to that. Most of the time, you can probably get that off of the record from the article, so you can always check the record to see it. And then you notice that the database here is LexisNexis, and then the last date of access. So all of that information should help you. Hopefully this helps you solve most of your problems with putting together your Works Cited section for your Life in the Digital Age essay. But if it doesn't, feel free to contact me. I'll be glad to help you with this. And some of you may have sources that are way outside of this and need special help. So feel free to contact me about that as well, and I'll be glad to try to help you get that done. All right, good luck.